Once we have seen the value concept, we're ready to understand where the companies generate value, because this is what makes sense of having a company. Generating value that it's going to be transformed into money, and that money it's going to represent the benefits, the profits, the earnings of the owner of the company. So companies generate value in the productive process with the production department. The first thing that the company is going to need to produce are raw materials. When the company is buying the materials, it's going to generate payments. They have to pay the suppliers. They have to pay what they just bought. The materials arrive to the company and they are located in a warehouse. And they are going to wait in the warehouse until the productive department or any other department needs them. As soon as they are required, they go into the transforming part of the transforming process. And they're going to be transformed, they're going to be added, they're going to be modified in order to create a final product. And this implies cost and expenses. And these costs and expenses are going to allow the company get the final product. Once you have the final product, you can sell it. It's probably going to stay in a warehouse again, but you can sell it. And when you sell it, you're going to get incomes and collections when the money comes in. So all this process is going to generate two different flows. One going out, output, and it's going to be payment, expenses, and cost, things that are going out of the company. And another flow that it's going to be inputs, things that are coming into the company. Now we're going to see in detail the input flow. So we're going to start in the right part. The company wants to generate products, to create products, and we're going to call product the value of all the products that the company makes. Some of them are going to be sold, and some others are going to stay in the warehouse, but it's okay because the company has put some effort and has created them. So that's it. Products, the value of all the products or services that the company makes. The part of products that are going to be sold, that are sold in a certain year, are going to become incomes. The value of the products or services that the company sells that year, that's an income. And there is a moment in which the customer has to pay for the product or the service. In that moment, when the customer pays, the money comes into the company, and that's what we're going to call collection. This is one of the flows. The other flow is the output flow. So in order to produce, to create that product or to create that service, the company is consuming resources. That resource consumption, it's going to be called cost. We move to expenses. We're going to consider expense any consumption that the company makes to develop its usual activity. And please be aware of this. Usual activity does not refer to frequency, to time. It does not mean this happens once a week or twice a day or once a year. It refers to the department of the company. So we call usual activity to any activity that you can locate in the production department, in the human resources department, in the finance department, in the marketing department. In order to be an expense, it has to be a consumption that you can locate in any of the departments of the company. And there is a moment in which the company has to pay for those consumptions. Okay, so the money goes out of the company. And that's what we call a payment. So those are the two flows. Now, very important thing you need to understand is that you cannot mix the flows. I mean, if you have a topic, you have a thing, and you choose to put it in the payment part, it has to stay on the right side of the screen. I mean, it has to be a payment, an expense, and a cost. You cannot choose payment and incomes. You cannot mix these flows, because these are two sides of the same coin. So once you choose a side, you have to keep that side. And the company needs to keep some kind of balance between the inputs and the outputs. So the company has to keep some balance between the things that are coming into the company and the things that are going out. So why do we do all this? Why do companies make all this effort in placing things in payments and collections and this side and the other side and so on? Well, we do it in order to know what is the real financial and economical state of the company. So the first thing you will have to do whenever you receive the exercise is to make some numbers and to calculate the final amount. And after that, you will classify the concept, materials or salaries or marketing expenses or whatever. You will classify the concept and you will put it in one of the columns that you see in the chart. Once you have that, you will add all the columns, okay? You will make total cost, total output, total expense, total income, total payment, total collection. And that's going to allow you to calculate 3 different results. You're going to have the financial result, the economic result, and the internal result. Each one provides very different information for the company, so each one is important. I will explain results at the end of the lesson, okay? So don't worry now about the meaning. Just to let you know, there are 3 different ones, and they provide very different information. That's why we need to calculate all 3. Since you are already reached this point of the video, I'm going to share a secret with you. And it's a very important secret, so it will allow you to get the maximum score during the exam day. In order to avoid mistakes, trick number 1 is to think as a business. Think you are a company. Don't think as a consumer, okay? From now on, you're going to be a company. In a consumer language, in the popular language, things look the same, but they are not. For example, in the popular language, we say things like, these trousers cost 10 euros. I paid 10 euros for these trousers, or I spent 10 euros in these trousers. And it looks the same. But this is how we manage the popular language. In the economic terms, these things have a very, very different meaning. Okay, so you need to understand that. The second thing that you need to understand in order to improve is that companies do not pay or do not receive money in cash. In cash means in a moment. So, companies usually pay 30 days later or 45 days later or 60 days later, and sometimes they also get the money sometime later. This is why in the exercise we're going to calculate on the one side the total value of the concept, and on the other side we're going to calculate the payment or the collection. So second trick I'm going to give you is this cheat sheet to make the exercises. Have this in mind or memorize it or write it in a little piece of paper and have it with you whenever you're making the exercises because it will help you a lot. So as you can see, we have 3 columns. We're going to start with the first one. You have to start making questions. And the first question is, does this concept belong to the ZIA? If the answer is yes, you keep on asking questions. So you go to question number 2. If the answer is not, it means that concept can only be a payment or a collection, nothing else. Second question is, do I need it to produce? Is it important for the production department? If the answer is yes, it's a cost. If the answer is not, you will not put it as a cost. Third question, is it related to usual activity of the company? And please keep in mind that when we talk about usual activity, we're talking about belonging to one department, marketing, financial, productive department, whatever. Okay. So if it's related to any of the departments of the company, it can be an expense or an income. But if the answer is not, it's not related to any department, it's not an expense, it's not an income. And the last question is to know if it's paid or collected. If the exercise says this is already paid, then it's a payment. This is already collected, then it's a collection. If the answer does not, if the exercise does not say anything about being paid or collected, it means it's not paid, it means it's not collected. Okay? The best way to understand all this and to make sense is to start making the exercises. So please take the first one and try to classify the concept and try to make the calculus of the amount, the total amount of euros, and we will see how deep you understand it and if you really get what I'm trying to mean with all this chart.